Edgar Lungu, a former Zambian president who clashed with investors in the key mining industry and oversaw a massive ramp-up in state debt, has died. He was 68. Lungu had been under medical supervision in recent weeks and died in a hospital in South Africa early Thursday, his daughter Tasila Lungu Mwansa said in a video posted on social media. Lungu came to power in a January 2015 presidential by-election that was held after Michael Sata died in office and stepped down in August 2021 after losing a vote to incumbent leader Hakainde Hichilema. Until shortly before his death, Lungu had been trying to assemble a coalition of opposition parties to contest next year's election. He retained ambitions of running as its presidential candidate, even though a court ruled in December that he was ineligible to stand again. Born on November 11, 1956, in the northern town of Ndola, Edgar Chagwa Lungu qualified as a lawyer. He later went into politics, winning election as a lawmaker for the Chawama constituency in Lusaka, the capital. Lungu joined the Patriotic Front party upon its formation in 2001 and rose to prominence when it came to power in 2011, displacing the movement for multi-party democracy that had ruled for 2 decades. He was initially appointed as a junior minister in Sata's office and was later promoted to Home Affairs Minister and subsequently Defense Minister. Sata appointed Lungu as acting president in October 2014 when he left the country to seek medical attention in the UK. Sata died 2 weeks later and Guy Scott led the country during a transition period until elections were held in January 2015. Lungu narrowly won that vote, securing 48.3% support. Another election was held 18 months later when the government's term ended, and he was again declared the winner with 50.4% backing. Lungu persevered with an infrastructure drive initiated by Sata that resulted in the country accumulating billions of dollars in debt, which eventually led to it becoming Africa's first pandemic-era sovereign defaulter in 2020. Zambia's dollar bond yield soared under his presidency as traders fretted about all the loans he'd taken on, largely from China. His government faced a succession of corruption allegations and frequently clashed with investors in the copper mining industry, which generates about 70% of the country's exports, as he tried to extract more tax revenue from it. He also clashed with developed nations, expelling the U.S. ambassador and an International Monetary Fund representative, while forging closer ties with China and Russia. Hichilema won nearly 60% support in the 2021 vote, the biggest margin of victory in Zambia in a quarter century. A number of senior officials from Lungu's administration and several of his family members were charged with graft or related offenses after he stepped down. He was never prosecuted and denied any wrongdoing. Lungu is survived by his wife Esther. They had 6 children together. Edgar Chagwa Lungu, November 11, 1956 to June 5, 2025, was a Zambian politician who served as the 6th president of Zambia from January 26, 2015 to August 24, 2021. Under President Michael Sata, Lungu served as Minister of Justice and Minister of Defense. Following Sata's death in October 2014, Lungu was adopted as the candidate of the Patriotic Front in a convention of the Patriotic Front held in Kabwe, for the January 2015 presidential by-election, which was to determine who would serve out the remainder of Sata's term. In the election, he narrowly defeated opposition candidate Hakainde Hichilema and took office on January 25, 2015. Lungu was elected to a full presidential term in the August 2016 election, again narrowly defeating Hichilema. Hichilema initially disputed the election result and filed a case at the Constitutional Court to nullify the result. On September 5, however, the court dismissed the case to Lungu's favor. Lungu was sworn in for his first full term on September 13, 2016. In 2021, Lungu was defeated by longtime opposition leader Hakainde Hichilema, his 2015 and 2016 opponent, in that year's presidential election. He died in June 2025 in South Africa following surgery complications. Lungu was born November 11, 1956 at Ndola Central Hospital. After graduating with a Bachelor of Laws in 1981 from the University of Zambia, he joined the law firm Andrea Masayi and Company in Lusaka. He subsequently underwent military officer training at Miltes in Kabwe under Zambia National Service, ZNS. He then returned to practicing law. He then joined politics. In 2010, Edgar Lungu had his law practicing license suspended by the Law Association of Zambia. This was after he was found guilty of professional misconduct. Edgar Lungu stood as an independent candidate in Chawama constituency at the 1996 general election, with Kristen Tembo of the MMD winning the seat ahead of him. After the formation of the United Party for National Development in December 1998, Lungu joined the party. After the formation of the Patriotic Front in 2001, Lungu joined the party and stood in Chawama constituency at the 2001 general election as the Patriotic Front's candidate, where he finished 7th in a field of 11 candidates with 2.43% of the vote. At the 2011 general election, Lungu once again stood as the Patriotic Front candidate for Chawama constituency and won the parliamentary seat. After the PF won that 2011 election, Lungu became junior minister in the vice president's office. He was subsequently promoted to Minister of Home Affairs on July 9, 2012. He became Minister of Defense on December 24, 2013 after Jeffrey Bwelyamwamba resigned from his ministerial post, and he functioned as acting president during President Michael Sata's long-term illness in 2013-14. He has also held a string of central positions in his party, including chair of the PF Central Committee on Discipline, and he became PF Secretary General and Minister of Justice on August 28, 2014 to replace Winter Kabimba, who was fired. Sata went abroad for medical treatment on October 19, 2014, leaving Lungu in charge of the country in his absence. Sata died on October 28, 2014. Vice President Dr. Guy Scott took over as acting president, and Lungu was viewed as one of the main contenders to ultimately succeed Sata in a presidential by-election. On November 3, 2014, acting President Dr. Guy Scott dismissed Lungu as Secretary General of the PF. He replaced him with Davis Mwila, the Member of Parliament for Chipolai. The next day, Scott reinstated Lungu. On November 30, Lungu was elected as president of the Patriotic Front at a national convention of the party held in Kabwe, Zambia. However, the convention was unusual because no voting took place. Instead, the unaccredited delegates elected him by raising hands. On January 20, 2015, Lungu contested the presidential by-election and beat his closest rival Hakainde Hichilema of the United Party for National Development by a narrow majority of just 27,757 votes, 1.66%, with just 32.36% of the registered electorate participating. He was declared the winner by the Electoral Commission of Zambia on January 24. Finishing Sata's term, 2015 to 2016. Lungu was sworn in as President of Zambia on January 26, 2015 at the National Heroes Stadium in the capital Lusaka. The following month, Lungu forced the head of the central bank out of office and promised lower interest rates. He appointed Inonjwana as Zambia's first female vice president. In March 2015 Lungu collapsed while holding a speech commemorating International Women's Day in Lusaka. After spending a short while in a Zambian hospital he had an operation for his narrowed esophagus in Pretoria, South Africa. Lungu commuted the death sentences of 332 prisoners to life in prison on July 16, 2015 and condemned the massive overcrowding at the Mukobeko prison, calling it an affront to basic human dignity. In October 2015, Lungu ordered a national day of prayer in hopes of preventing further damage to the economy. Top religious and political officials participated, and other public events were cancelled. October 18 was officially registered as an annual public holiday in Zambia named the National Day of Prayer, Fasting, Repentance and Reconciliation. Questions were raised about the freedom of journalists under Lungu's presidency, though he denied his government had stopped any journalists from reporting on, or interviewing, him. Lungu appealed to the media to report truthfully. Lungu emphasized the diversification of Zambia's economy away from its decades-long dependence on copper mining, towards agriculture and other sectors, and sought investors for its energy sector, declaring it was not safe to depend on hydroelectricity, and that climate change created a need for alternative energy. During his interim term, he met with French President François Hollande in France, early 2016, and with Pope Francis in the Vatican, calling it an experience of a lifetime. First full term, 2016 to 2021. Lungu ran for a full term in the August 2016 presidential election, which turned out to be a rematch of the 2015 presidential election between Lungu and UPND candidate Hakainde Hichilema. Lungu won the election with 50.32% of the vote, just a few thousand votes over the threshold for avoiding a runoff. He also increased his margin of victory over Hichilema to 100,530 votes or 2.72%. Hichilema refused to concede defeat after the announcement of official results and filed a petition before the Constitutional Court, asking for the results to be nullified due to irregularities. The court dismissed the case on September 5, 2016, and Lungu was inaugurated for a full 5-year term of office on September 13. In December 2019, Lungu expressed anti-LGBT rhetoric, stating even animals don't do it, so why should we be forced to do it? Because we want to be seen to be smart, civilized and advanced and so on. Lungu once again stood as the Patriotic Front candidate at the August 2021 general election. He lost the election to his closest rival, Hakainde Hichilema of the United Party for National Development, getting almost 1 million votes less than Hichilema. Lungu conceded defeat as Hichilema was declared the winner on August 16, 2021 by the Electoral Commission of Zambia. Post-presidency. On May 3, 2023, police surrounded Lungu's residence in Lusaka and demanded access to search it. His lawyer said that police were conducting a search following a complaint against his wife over her suspicious ownership of the vehicles and a title deed. Return to Patriotic Front presidency. After the 2021 election, Edgar Lungu decided to retire from active politics, leaving Given Lubinda as the Patriotic Front's acting president. Lungu made an official announcement of him returning to active politics on October 28, 2023, returning to being the leader of the Patriotic Front. However, there was a controversial extraordinary general conference that had taken place earlier that October in which Miles Sampa was declared the president of the Patriotic Front, PF, party, defeating 7 other aspirants for the same position. Emmanuel Mwamba, the PF Information and Publicity Chairperson, argued that that convention was illegal and that the convention that took place was contrary to the party's outlined procedures in its constitution. That convention left the PF party divided and the matter was soon taken to the Lusaka High Court. Therefore, the Patriotic Front party consisted of 2 factions, one with Miles Sampa as the leader and one with Given Lubinda as the leader. After Lubinda gave back the PF presidential title to Lungu, thereby demoting himself to vice president, the party remained with 2 factions, with Sampa as the leader of the other one. As the leader of one of the 2 factions of the PF, Lungu decided to join the United Kwacha Alliance, UKA, an alliance of opposition political parties in Zambia, in early 2024. On top of this battle with Miles Sampa over who was the rightful PF leader, there was an ongoing and contentious issue of the presidential eligibility of Edgar Lungu because he had previously been elected twice, in January 2015 and August 2016, to be the president of Zambia. A decision was made in July 2024 to have a full trial over the matter. The Constitutional Court decided that it would issue its ruling on December 10, 2024 in the case of Lungu's presidential eligibility. In November 2024, Lungu's PF faction was invited to join the TANS alliance and it accepted, with Lungu being appointed as the alliance chairperson and being chosen as the presidential candidate for the alliance for the 2026 general election. Due to the UCA not being in support of a political party belonging to more than one alliance, it was decided that Lungu and the PF were no longer part of UCA. Due to internal divisions within the PF, the TANS alliance decided that it would field candidates in any upcoming elections under the new Congress Party, NCP, including the 2026 general election where they plan to register Lungu as their presidential candidate. On December 10, 2024, the Constitutional Court barred Lungu from running again for president as he had already served a maximum of 2 terms. Despite this ruling, Edgar Lungu remained the president of his Patriotic Front faction and the alliance chairperson of the TANS alliance. In March 2025, the TANS alliance spokesperson, Sean Tembo, decided to petition the Constitutional Court over this decision. On May 1, 2025, Miles Sampa decided to reunite his Patriotic Front faction with the faction for Edgar Lungu, effectively stepping down from the party presidency. Lungu was handed back the party presidency and Given Lubinda was handed back the party vice presidency, and therefore was acting president in Lungu's absence. Personal life and death. Lungu married Esther Lungu in 1986 and had 6 children, including Tasila Lungu, the Member of Parliament, MP, for Chawama, elected in 2021. He and his family were practicing Baptists. In 2015, it was disclosed that Lungu was being treated outside of Zambia for achalasia. In August 2024, he collapsed during a televised military event due to a hypoglycemic attack, a complication of achalasia. In early 2025, Lungu traveled to South Africa to receive specialized treatment for an undisclosed illness. By May 2025 it was reported that his condition was steady despite rumors about his ailing health. On the morning of June 5, 2025, Lungu died after suffering cardiac complications from a surgery he was undergoing at the Mediclinic Medforum in Pretoria, South Africa. He was 68 years old. His death was officially announced by his daughter Tasila and a family lawyer through social media. Against all odds, a biography of Lungu by the Zambian journalist and senior diplomat Anthony Mukwata, was published by Partridge Africa on 5 January 2017. The book set records when it became the first Zambian book to go on sale at Barnes & Noble and the first Zambian book on a head of state to be featured in the London Book Fair in Hammersmith. Thank you for watching this video.